on in, come on in. Here's to hoping that you will join us. Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and Ma'at. Please join us. Ankh and Ma'at, come in, come in, come in. Here we go. I see some folks gathering now and coming in. It's wonderful that you are here. Greetings. I'm bidding you peace. Hetepu to you all. Jabari El Saze, also known as Hem, Netter, and Tepi. Heru Generat Aten Ra, here for Kemetic Ascension. I'm seeing you come in. Hetepu and Ankh and Ma'at to you all. Come on in, come on in. You can see that I'm away from the shrine today, but still hoping that we will have our regular bi-monthly gathering. I'm hoping that you are here. In fact, what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this a little bit today, I am going to actually add our StreamYard link, because as I said in our last gathering, I'm hoping that someone will come on and lead us in the opening of the way. And so I'm going to go ahead and put this into our gathering. I'm going to do it again in a few moments. And hopefully this means that you'll be joining us to do the opening of the way and also to do Hesi. I really think that these gatherings are far too Jabari centric. I would love for all of the people that join us to come in and partake. Please, if you are, and we're going to really hopefully focus on people who we know, because you know that if there are some folks that we are unfamiliar with and they come in, sometimes things go awry. So I'm hoping that members of the shrine, folks who have been close to the shrine for a while, even if you're not a member, will come in and do the opening of the way. With that, you know how we begin our gathering. I'm going to ask for you to go ahead and tell me where in the world you are, and also how long you have been part of Kemetic Ascension. Those are those two questions that we ask at the beginning of every Kemetic Ascension, correct? So for those of you who are here with us, please tell us where in the world you are and how long you have been part of Kemetic Ascension, how much you have been gathering for Kemetic Ascension. I see we have official 360 degrees of wellness. Hetepu to you, Hetepu. I'm trying to remember, that name is very familiar. I'm sure I know who you are. I'm wondering who you are. Give us a name so I'll know exactly. Grand Rising and Hotep to Brother Willie Carlos Jr. Welcome. We have Robert Bunag who is on all the time. And he says, Ankh and Ma'at, he's in Daly City, near San Francisco, and his girlfriend is near Los Altos, near San Jose. Ankh and Ma'at to you. I'm glad that you're on. We have Anthony Jones, Hotep Anthony Jones. We see Ta Seti, Ankh and Ma'at to you, coming to us from Denver, Colorado. Looks like they've been part of this gathering for 2 years. Wonderful. You are a regular. We see you all the time. Ankh and Ma'at. We have Sheikh Dabite. I hope I'm saying that right. Sheikh Dabite. Peace and love. Peace to Ray. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Sheikh Dabite, Skeek Dabite says that they are from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Wonderful. We have Marjorie Janiver. How are you, dear mother? That's the mother of our Jati in Bennu in Phoenix. Ankh and Ma'at to you. I'm assuming he's going to be on here in a minute. He's always here. Ankin Ma'at to you. I'm glad to know that you're there. We see 2 Row from Silver Spring, Maryland. Ankin Ma'at to you, and been part of this community for a month. Wonderful and welcome. Ankin Ma'at to Johnny Parker. I see Anthony Jones is saying that he's in Norfolk, Virginia, and now lives from Norfolk, Virginia, and now lives in Houston, Texas. Ankin Ma'at to you. And we see Sanet Sakina Ra, one of our full members and very active member, coming to us from Grand Forks, North Dakota, nearly for 3 years. Ankin Ma'at to you, Sanet. It's always good to know that you're out there. Ankin Ma'at to George Anthony, watching from Oxford in the UK. Wonderful. You've been following Shrine since your late teenage days. Wonderful. Discuss the Shrine in your senior dissertation at Morehouse. Wonderful. I would have loved to be able to read that. Please send it to us. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at to Thaharka. I hope it's Thakarka Diof. Thakarka. Please let me know if I've gotten that correct. In Senegal, in Italy. Wonderful. Ankin Ma'at. I don't think I've seen that name before. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Ankin Ma'at to Charisse Clement from Cleveland and being involved for about 3 years. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at to Huti Heka Kepra. Ankin Ma'at from Michigan. Ankin Ma'at to Honoris Benu Montu Ra from Savannah, Georgia. And I see that Ray says that I believe that she, trying to see that picture, she is from Newport News, Virginia, and this is your first time, Ankin Ma'at. We see William Humphrey, also known as Tahuti Forever, Ankin Ma'at from Rock Hashem, Ankin Ma'at. Willie Carlos, you live in Harlem a few blocks. Really? We should gather and meet at some point. Ankin Ma'at, I'm glad that you're here. We see Sanet Shenka, who is here as Olivia B. McGraw, her government name, coming to us from the DMV. Ankin Ma'at, a very active member. And I believe you've been involved, it's got to be nearly 4 years or more now, Sanet Shenka. Am I correct about that? I think it might be. Tell me how long you've been involved. Were you still in the same initiatory group? I'm trying to remember who else was in your initiatory group. I think it's been over 3 years now. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Ankin Ma'at to you, Sanet. I'm glad you're there. We see Kamisha. That is Sen Gavin coming to us from the DMV area. One of our full members again, Ankin Ma'at. I hope that all is well with you. I see Azania S.A. coming to us from Soweto, South Africa, and Zania being one of the original names of South Africa. Ankin Ma'at to you. We see Samantha Kolidi from Sonoma, California. Ankin Ma'at, tuning in for almost 4 years now. Ankin Ma'at. Let's see. Robert Bunag says, you're always on the live stream. Yes, you are. Are there any meetups for Kemetic Ascension in Northern California? I am unaware of anyone that we have in Northern California. It seems to me that you need to really start gathering those folks. It would be wonderful if you did. You're always here, Ankin Ma'at. Ray is he. Sorry, Ray. I knew I should have put a gender on that. Ankin Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at to Sanet Kazi Shep, who is coming to us, I believe, from the city of brotherly love. I think you're still here, right? Sanet Kazi, who is actually one of our full members, Ankin Ma'at. And Olivia B. McGraw says that she has been around since 21. So I guess it's 3 years, really. It's 3 years. Ankin Ma'at to you, and been part of Kemetic Ascension for about 7 years. Ankin Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at to Big Payback Porter from Maryville. Ankin Ma'at, always here, always here. Hosanna Uit Onze. I'm not sure if I know that name. Ankin Ma'at. That last name seems like it's a Southern African name. Please let me know. Ankin Ma'at to Jehudi, Heru Jehudi Pata Umika Temra, coming to us from Oakland. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at to Davina Reed. Ankin Ma'at to Anaje Bryant, who was always here with us. Ankin Ma'at. Cassie, you relocated. Oh, I didn't know that. How is that? You know, there's so many people on the East Coast that are talking about Delaware. I would love to know what that has been like for you. Maybe you're one of the few people that I know that has actually made the move. So I'd love to know what that's like. So many folks are talking about moving to Delaware. Ankh-Mat, I hope everything is going well for you there with your family, with your king. Ankh-Mat to James Rogers, coming to us from Fayetteville, North Carolina. And of course, from Sinette Cortia, who is coming to us from the ATL. Ankh-Mat, one of our full members. We do have someone in North Carolina, North California. I'm not sure who that is, though. Please let me know if you think you know who it is, because we definitely should be trying to make those connections. Ankh-Mat to Kimberly Blue, who has been with us since 2023 from the DMV area. Ankh-Mat. Sinette Cassie, you're saying the city of brotherly love is not that brotherly at this time. That's why you had to get out. I get it. I get it. Ankh-Mat to Sinette, to Aset Nefertari Aat, Ankh-Mat, and Ashe Hotep, Grand Rising from New York City. What part of New York City? I wonder. Sinette Cassie, I did not know you were from Delaware. I did not know. That's not something I knew about you. I would love to know what your thoughts are on that. Ankh-Mat, Ankh-Mat. There are many members of the Kemetic community that are saying that they're considering actually relocating there, including, I believe, some folks from our cousins, the African Village. So I'd love to know, especially if you're from there, you might be a good connection for some of the folks in the community. Ankh-Mat to Sinette Cortia for telling people to like or hit the thumbs up. You are correct. Please, if you like it or thumb up this video, what ends up happening is it helps the algorithm and more people are able to join us. Please do that. And let me just start by saying that we really depend on your donations as well. It is wonderful if you're able to send stars on Facebook or donate to our Cash App or to our PayPal. We really do use it. As our priest, Waziri, a member of the Wenwet, always says, we don't do this for money, but we need money to do it. Ankh-Mat to you all. Ankh-Mat to Jalel Henry. Peace, peace, peace. Oh, and I see you're in Manhattan. Now, you know that I'm in Manhattan, so you need to let me know where in Manhattan, Aset. I wonder where that is. Where are you in Manhattan? Lower East Side. Okay, that's just a hop, skip, and a jump from Harlem. Ankh-Mat to you. Studio Patah, Ankh-Mat. I'm assuming that's Baba Heru on Studio Patah. He doesn't usually come in that way. Ankh-Mat to you, Baba. Please, let's give Baba, our elder, some myrrh. Ankh-Mat to you. Ankh-Mat to, let's see, Jahim Ray. Ankh-Mat to you, coming to us from Woodbridge, Virginia. And you grew up half of your childhood in Maryland and the other half in Delaware. I did not know that, Cassie. I thought of you as a Philly sister. Interesting. Ankh-Mat. Oakland is directly across the bridge from San Francisco, 6 hours from LA, heading north. You're in Northern California. Okay, so I see Heru Jehuti Patah Umika Temra, who is always here, might not be far away from there. That's wonderful, wonderful. And we see Heru Asar Ankh Amun Ra coming to us from Dallas, Texas for 4 years. Ankh-Mat and Hetepu. It is wonderful that you are here. Where you're located, married, to join the family, to know thyself community. Well, I would love to know more about the Know Thyself community. And we see the Schaefers. Ankh-Mat to you. Are you still in Kemet right now? Please let us know. The Schaefers, that wonderful couple who we had the great honor of creating the album, the Shrines album with. Ankh-Mat, a very talented couple. When you listen to the album, you would think that we had tons of people mastering and singing and playing instruments. And it was really just that very talented couple, multi-instrumental couple that was able to master some of the songs, some of the Hesi of the Shrine of Ma'at so wonderfully. And they were even talented enough to write their own Hesi. we want to say Ankh Ma'at to you. And we're so happy that you're out there doing what you do. Ankh Ma'at to Sanet Ra'el. Ankh Ma'at, one of our full members coming from Springfield, Illinois, and I think from East St. Louis, right? Murrin Light to you. Murrin Light. Ankh Ma'at to LAS. Ankh Ma'at. Peace and power to you as well. Peace and black power to you. We see what is that? Tuhira Imun Raja Hotep Ma'at Patah. Ankh Ma'at from Myrtle Beach. Ankh Ma'at. I don't think I've said that name before. Welcome if you are new. Welcome, welcome. We see Sen M there. Ankh Ma'at to you. Michael Herbert, one of our full members. Cassie Shep says, Newark, Newcastle. Is that where you are? Bear, great air. Oh, great areas to live and access all the happenings on Baltimore on one side and Philly on the other. Yes. Delaware is in that sense centrally located along the East Coast. It really is. And my understanding is that it's an easier place to own property as well. That's why so many people are trying to go there. So many people that live in Delaware have more space as well. And if you've lived in New York or even in Philly, folks really crave the space and the greenery. I think that's part of what motivates people to do that. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I see Sanet Ra'el speaking to her initiatory group, the Shemsu Heru, Ankh Ma'at. LAS Dua for your wonderful compliment. The Schaefers are saying that album, because I did not say the name, is Shrine of Ma'at, Kemetic Meditations, Temple Music, Volume 1. Yes, that wonderful album. It is streaming on almost everything. So please go ahead and look to stream it. Go ahead and put it into your Spotify and you'll find it. You'll definitely find the music, and it is masterful. Please listen. We see Living in Truth, Prophetess Keys Truth, Ankh Ma'at to you, coming to us from Detroit. Jiutimus Ma'at Hotep, Ankh Ma'at, dear brother, I have not heard from you in a while, although I know you're out there. Ankh Ma'at, a full initiated member out of Canada, Ontario. How are you? Are you still in the military? How are you doing, dear brother? It's wonderful to know that you're out there. And yes, Annette Cassie, no state taxes. That's another reason why people go over there. In fact, people even incorporate businesses there. I have one incorporated there as well. Ankh Ma'at to Bowles channel. Peace, brother. Per Ankh Ma'at. James Limba says Hetepu family. I bet is the word for family for those of you who might be kind of new to this gathering. Let me just say Ankh Ma'at to you all. Ankh Ma'at. And also Ankh Ma'at to send Jason Holmes, one of our full members, an active member out of Lincoln, Nebraska. T Jr., Ankh Ma'at. I'm not sure who that is. T Jr. Name is familiar. Ankh Ma'at. Ankh Ma'at to Ma'achin Walker from Las Vegas. Ankh Ma'at to you. I didn't know you were a police officer there now. So you're out of the military and now you're part of the police force. Ankh Ma'at to you. Wonderful. Wonderful. That is incredible. There could not be a better brother to be in our community, ensuring its safety. Ankh Ma'at. Obalafia Orikuku Johnson. Ankh Ma'at, Oriku on the ones and twos. Yes, you are. Or the ones and fours. Ankh Ma'at for 14. Ankh Ma'at to you all. I'm so glad that you've gathered. We know that there's so many other things that you could be doing with your Sunday rather than gathering with the Shrine of Ma'at for Kemetic Ascension. You can see that I'm away from home, but I would not let that prevent me from gathering with you today. As long as I'm not actually on a plane, I will try to ensure that Kemetic Ascension actually occurs. So you know how we begin Kemetic Ascension. We begin with that ceremony that we know as the opening of the way. The ceremony that was put into its current configuration by our elder, Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Se Patah, the keeper of our root shrine, the Shrine of Patah, and also the elder of the Shrine of Ma'at. Please go ahead and give him some myrrh. But in addition to that, I'm asking for you to perhaps join us. You can see that the StreamYard link is there. I would love for you to come in. And instead of me doing the opening of the way and doing HESI, I would love to see our members come in and do opening way in the HESI. And don't act like you're afraid to do HESI. If I could do HESI in public and you have heard my voice, then you could do HESI in public. Do one of our favorite HESI if you'd like, or something that's been on your heart that you have been singing or chanting, something that has allowed you to move through this world in a way that is beautiful. I'm hoping that you're going to come. And I'm seeing Bo's channel says, I want you to know it might be not too late to repent for your idolatry you promote and turn away from your sin, brother. Wonderful, brother. If that is the way that you know how to give someone blessings, then I receive it. But I want you to know that that term idolatry is something that your oppressor has put into your mouth and made you turn away from your traditions. How sad that you are now speaking about the traditions of your African foreparents as idolatry. Who confused you, dear brother? I'm glad that you've come to the shrine of Ma'at so that we can get you straight. Wonderful as you proclaim we are into idolatry, but you see no idols around me. I mean, I would say to you, you're here to return to divine balance. So rather than kicking you out, which some people would do, I welcome you to stay so you can get more accustomed to our community. And let me say to you, if you stay, please stay in peace. I'm not in your gathering saying anything negative about you or about your traditions, and I beg for you to do the same for us. If you'd like to stay, you can, but please do so in Hetep, in peace. Okay, and Anken Ma'at to Huti Heka Kepra, Anken Ma'at, and Ashe to you. Anken Ma'at to Caleb Bryson, Anken Ma'at. Anken Ma'at to you all. And let me see, I'm not seeing anyone come in for the opening of the way. What is going on? What is going on? Why is it that even our members are not coming in to do the opening of the way and to do HESI today? That's what I'm asking you to do. Don't make me call you in the weeks in between. Okay, I see Sanet B is coming. Sanet Shenka is coming. Wonderful. Wonderful. I would love for you to do the opening of the way. As I said, she's one of our very active members of the shrine. And I truly would hope that more of you will come in and join. You don't see the link? Let me put it in again. I'm sorry. It's possible that what happens is people chat as they should, and what ends up happening is it goes all the way up. So you can see it there. You see the StreamYard link there? I just put it in. It should go into all of, it's interesting. I don't see where it's going into to Instagram. I'm wondering why. Oh, because Instagram has their own live feature. That's exactly why I'm not seeing Instagram. But I am seeing on our other Facebook pages and to our YouTube pages. So that's true. And Bo's channel says no disrespect to you. I don't think that you intended to be disrespectful, but those words, by saying that our spiritual traditions, the spiritual traditions that are some of the oldest in the world, the spiritual traditions that in many ways have been taken from and creating and have created the traditions of the Hebrew people, of the Christian people, and by extension, the Muslim people, to call it idolatry is really inappropriate. And I think that that is disrespectful, even though I don't think that that was your intent. And so I just want you to know words have meaning. And there's no way that you could tell someone that their spiritual tradition is idolatry and not be disrespectful. And so I just want to be clear about that. And that's how it is. And if you'd like to talk about it, we could certainly talk at another time off of Kemetic Ascension. We could talk in private or in public, but I would love for you to know more about the Kemetic tradition so that you would not actually say that kind of thing, particularly at our spiritual gathering. I did not roll up in your church and say, what's going on with that white Jesus up there? I didn't say anything about the misogyny in the book. I didn't say anything. I didn't do any of that in your tradition. Although those are things that I think that I could back up. I know that I could back up with the truth of your text. So for me to come in here and to say, for you to come in here and say that is disrespectful. So, okay. I see Sanet Shenka coming in. Let me add her to the stage. Ankin Ma'at to you, dear Sanet. It is wonderful holding down the DMV area and, of course, all of the world on the internet. Ankin Ma'at to you, Ankin Ma'at. And I would love for you to just lead us in the way that you know that we do. You know that Baba Heru was here, so that is also amazing. Baba Heru created this ceremony we call the opening of the way. And let me say to you that while, just to be clear about when I say created, this was a ceremony that's put together with all of the pieces of the ancient tradition. But you won't see people in the ancient world doing this ritual in its current form. However, I'm going to say to you, if miraculously someone from ancient Kemet was thrust forward into our day and time and watched us doing the opening of the way, they would recognize it. And that's the part that's amazing. They would recognize all the pieces, all of the names. They would even recognize the deeper meaning of this tradition. So that is why I often say that Baba Heru put it into its current configuration, because of how tied it is to the principles of ancient Kem. So please, I've been yapping enough. Sanet Shenka, take it away.
All right, if everybody would join in. And for those of you who don't know the opening of the way, this may be something that we would like for you to participate with us as well. So we'd like you all to stand, and we're going to stand in the pose of adoration with your left foot forward and right foot back. I'm going to raise your hands with your left foot slightly forward, right hand back, and slightly bent. And we're going to take a deep breath, and we're going to chant the word of life, which is Ankh. So take your breath. Anetrak in Bedhet.
Anetrak in Bedhet.
Nuke in Bedhet.
Nuke in Bedhet.
Anetrak Hapi.
Anetrak Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Twalu Winter.
Twalu Winter.
Turn to the right. Anetrak Circuit.
Anetrak Circuit.
Nuke Circuit.
Nuke Circuit.
Anetrak Kepsanuf.
Anetrak Kebsanuf.
Nuke Kepsanuf.
Nuke Kebsanuf.
Twalu Inter.
Twalu Inter.
Into the right. Anetrak Ast.
Anetrak Ast.
Nuke Ast.
Nuke Ast.
Anetrak Amset.
Anetrak Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Twalu Inter.
Twalu Inter.
Anetrak Neat.
Anetrak Neat.
Nuke Neat.
Nuke Neat.
Anetrak Dwamutef.
Anetrak Dwamutef.
Nuke Dwamutef.
Nuke Dwamutef.
Twalu Inter.
Twalu Inter.
Anetrak Newt.
Anetrak Newt.
Nuke Newt.
Nuke Newt.
Anetrak Geb.
Anetrak Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Twalu Inter.
Twalu Inter.
Anetrak Paut Interu.
Oh wait, Anetrak Shu. Don't forget Shu.
Sorry. Anetrak Shu.
Anetrak Shu.
Shu.
Nuke Shu.
Anetrak Tefnut.
Anetrak Tefnut.
Tefnut.
Tefnut. Tefnut. Tefnut. Tefnut.
Nuke.
Nuke Tefnut. Twalu Inter.
Twalu Inter. Anetrak Paut Interu.
Anetrak Paut Interu.
Nuke Interu.
Nuke Paut Interu.
Anetrak Imbu Interu.
Anetrak Imbu Interu.
Nuke Imbu Interu.
Nuke Imbu Interu.
Quo inter.
Quo inter.
Take your breath.
Quo inter. Dwa, 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 for leading us so ably, Sanet Shenka. Dwa, dwa, dwa. I'm so honored that you came in and led us in the opening of the way. And it's good to know you're out there in the DMV holding it down. Talking my aunt to you. Dwa, dwa, dwa. I'm so happy that she did that. Please give Sanet Shenka some myrrh for leading us in the opening of the way. Folks, I'm going to tell you, you've heard me say this during initiation, particularly for those of you who are fully initiated, like Sanet Shenka. Know the opening of the way, because you never know when you're going to be somewhere and someone is going to ask you to lead this sacred ritual brought to us by our elder. And so it is so important that you do that. Can I say Ankin Ma'at to you? Unless you want to also lead us in Hesse.
I don't think we might get people leaving. You know, I'm on the Hesse. I'm the backup. I'm the backup.
I think that what I'm going to, now listen, in 2 weeks, we're going to have Kemetic Ascension again. And for those of you hearing our voices, we want you to come on and do Hesse. I could do Hesse. I do Hesse all the time. I live in Hesse. When I'm driving, I'm chanting Hesse. When I'm looking at the news, I'm chanting Hesse. But my voice is not necessarily made for public consumption with regard to Hesse.
I'm on the Hesse team, and it's the same. I mean,
yes, yeah.
Singing,
I mean, you can love it, but you know, listen. When I do it, sometimes people are there like, "Oh, Jabari is trying so hard."
Oh, you've gotten better though. You've gotten better.
He means well. You know what I mean? I get the participation medal. You know what I mean? So next time, I'm going to ask for you to lead us in, someone to come into the community from our community to lead us in Hesse. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to go ahead and play another oldie but goodie. And forgive me for playing so many of these. I just love watching them. And I think that they should also, in many ways, kind of allow us to recognize what our community has been in for how long, right? And so it's always important to me that I show these, and maybe that's why you're going to continue to see them, because I want you to recognize how long we've been doing this and how important this is. So let me go ahead. I'm going to share with you an old Hesse done by Baba and his band at Prospect Park. I don't know how many of you have seen this, but I just think it's wonderful. And so I'm hoping that you will get as much out of it as I do. Let's see. Come on, share. Let me share it.
Okay.
Okay, I believe you can see it. Take a look. I want you to hear this wonderful Hesse and see this group performing wonderfully here in Prospect Park. Take a look.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Speed back. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1. 1, 1, 1.
What you're seeing is known as the Ankh ceremony. The priestesses of the shrine often were trained to do the Ankh ceremony.
My brothers and sisters, tap tap. Let me hear that again. Heck tap hoo.
One.
It's a beautiful day, and Kemetic Rising Band has come forward to bring you some Hexy Ankh music. Hexy Ankh music. We're going to bring you some chants for life. Life chants for you. Kemetic Rising Band has come this afternoon because we've come to heal the greatest disease that we have. You know, we have a disease. You know that? We have a disease worse than AIDS. Do you know that? You know what that is? Ignorance. Ethiopian music comes to chant life to you, to heal you, to bring you the truth. Ethiopian music from the Kemetic Rising Band comes to burn away the dross of ignorance. Real music, words of wisdom. Ethiopian life chant. Hetepu.
About 500 years ago, the Pope commissioned Michelangelo. He said, Michael, I want you to paint for the Roman Catholic nation a story of a lily white creation. On a scaffold beneath the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo laid out a story of a woman, the serpent, and the apple. And he had the nerve to use the members of his own family as the models for the Holy Trinity. The baby Jesus, Papa Joseph, and Mama Mary. See, they could not hunger, Kemetic Ascension, so they had to change us the Madonna from ebony black to marble white. Black hair blue became blonde cheesy overnight. So now you know. So now you know. What they did to the shrine, why they still hide the shrine of Isis, the African Madonna. Baby Herod, the Ethiopian Messiah. I got a message from the woolly-headed Jesus. He said his name is Herod. He don't mind call him Jesus. He was a He wore his woolly hair in naughty dreadlocks like a rock. He was a son of the sun. He was a Nubian. He taught the people love. He preached a message of love. He fought for love. He sacrificed for love. Heru is alive today, and I think I hear him say, watch out, Russia, England, America, South Africa, Israel, Arabia. You worship diamonds, oil, and gold, stealing more than your coffers can hold, with Bibles and bombs in your blood-stained hands. Your violence, your greed, hypocrisy, all love. Jesus would say, I'm telling you, Jesus would say.
I'm hoping that you really enjoy these older clips. I mean, I really think that they are amazing. And in many ways, I'm hoping that it also inspires us to see what those people who are prominent in the Kemetic community were doing literally 40 years ago. This is nearly 40 years old, this video. And it's just, it's wonderful. And I'm hoping that we'll do something similar at some point. It would not be extremely hard for those of you who have truly been gifted, who have been given the incredible gifts of music and harmony, to come together to do something similar. And there are venues. Usually what the Jules of Aten and the Kemet Rising Band would do is they would sing at festivals that were already going on here in New York. It wouldn't be that hard to do something like that, but we need to be able to have the wherewithal to want to be able to do this again. And so I'm really hoping that post-pandemic now we'll be able to come forward and do something like this all over again, because they were just very, very beautiful. And look at those members who were singing so wonderfully and so ably, coming forward and giving this to our community. It is absolutely, I'd say, beautiful that they did this sort of work, and we could do that again. We just need to be able to have the divine inspiration and the wherewithal to be able to pull it off. And so it was just beautiful. I'm hoping. And some of those members actually are now ancestors. The sister who was singing in the beginning, whose name I always forget, which is really a travesty, because she was one of the priestesses that assisted me and Anika to come through the gateways of the of initiation into the Shrine of Ptah in the late 90s, when we became members of the Shrine of Ptah. And so it was just an amazing experience. And we should do those sorts of things again. More on that later, okay? More on that later. For those of you who are full members of the Shrine, you know that the Shrine has been through a real difficult few weeks, actually. I know I have. And I'm going to be calling a Shrine meeting shortly. You'll get an email for us to regroup and figure out what we do next. Because I really do believe that the work of the Shrine has not met its zenith, but we are going to have to dig through this period to be able to make it truly work. So I'm looking forward to all of you. The folks that come to Kemetic Ascension tend to be some of the most active members of the Shrine. All of you coming to our meeting and also bringing along 4 or 5 of the folks that you are initiated with, people you have contact with, to the meeting, so we can figure out how to put us back on the most secure footing again. So with that, let me say dua to you all. Let me say dua to Sinet Chenka for leading us. And let's go into what we next call the opening, the word from the Sebayit. The word from the Sebayit. And you know, the Sebayit in our Kemetic tradition is what we have called wisdom literature. Wisdom literature. It is really, in many ways, the oldest literature in the world. It is the oldest body of literature put forth by human beings. That is how critically important the Sebayit, the body of literature that comes to us from Kemet, actually is. What an amazing thing that is something that occurred, but so few of us actually know. So few of us actually remember. It is problematic that we are in this situation where we don't know exactly what it has been to be a member of the African community and what that has meant to the world. I'm really hoping that as we continue to do the things that we do in the Shrine, we will get to the point where more will be aware of the traditions of our African ancestors and not speak ill of them. Someone came into our gathering today to speak ill of them without, I'm sure, having any knowledge whatsoever of these traditions. And I need to say to you, let's be clear that as there are folks that will say that we are idolaters, that we are folks that have not been calling the name of Jesus or other names from the Abrahamic traditions, the reality is that the Kemetic tradition is the wellspring from which the Hebrew tradition and the Christian tradition came through, and by extension, the Islamic tradition. That is the reality. How could that not be when we can now prove that there are sections of Kemetic texts that are written verbatim into the Christian Bible? If we were idolaters, why have you placed our text in your holy book without any credit? Is that what you think would be the mark of calling out an idolater? To steal their ancient text and not tell your followers that that is what they are reading? Instead, to say that this was written by Solomon when it was actually written by Amenhotep? Is that what you think is appropriate? If that is what you are saying, then while you are calling me an idolater, I should call you a plagiarist. Let's not begin by calling each other's names. Let's try to come to a better understanding of how things occurred. Let's do that. And I want to give the brother that came in at least enough credit for him to come into, while it wasn't the most seamless opening to a dialogue, I want to give him credit for coming to at least try to have a dialogue. We need more dialogue. I would give an arm, left or right, to tell you that that person that made that comment is a member of the African descended community. How did we get to the place that we speak negative about the traditions of Africa? For those traditions that have been remixed from those African traditions, repackaged from those African traditions, a copy of a damn copy. How could we say that those original traditions are those that are not worthy of our focus and of our worship? How did we get so turned around? Well, I'll tell you, a little thing called the transatlantic enslavement trade is what turned us around. But let's be clear, the chains and the shackles are no longer on our wrists and our ankles. They are now placed on our soul. There is more emancipation that must occur. And I'm going to say to you, no one else can free your mind. No one else can free your mind. We must do that ourselves. And so this is of critical importance, that we get to the point where we understand what happened, how it happened, and who did it, so that we can move forward in peace, so that we are able to finally speak to our brothers and sisters in the languages that we once spoke, with the traditions that we once held dear. I would argue to you that that is the only way that we will truly be free. The only way for us to truly be free is for us to get to the point where we see our own traditions as worthy of our praise, instead of the traditions of others. And as much as you want to clean them up and place black faces on those books, the reality is someone curated those books. Someone put them together. Someone edited them. You are not doing anything revolutionary to simply take them without critique and call them your own. That is not revolutionary, nor is it something that your ancestors should be pleased of. Oh, how the ancestors turned in their watery grave, those who jumped from ships to escape the horrors of enslavement. Oh, how they turn when we do that. We have to get better. We have to get better. And brother, if you are still here, let me say to you, I would love to be able to talk to you more about what happened. And I'm going to come with receipts. You're not going to just get my opinion. Let's be clear. I was a practitioner of the Christian tradition. That's who I was. So I know the tradition that you are discussing. I really do. And I want you to understand where it comes from. And, you know, let me say something that might not even always be popular for our community, in our Kemetic community, because the most important aspects of it were taken from our African tradition. That means that there are some things redeemable in the Christian tradition. I've not come to anyone saying that they should no longer be Christian, but I am saying they have to be a different type of Christian if they are going to remain in that house and honor the traditions of their ancestors. That is what I think we all need to be aware of. And so I want to continue briefly our conversation as I shift to the word from the Sebayit. I want to shift for a moment to continue the conversation that we had in our last Kemetic Ascension. Those of you who were here for that must remember that what I am referring to is the discussion that we had around the Divine Mother. I want to be able to return to that conversation. I want to be able to return to that conversation. Take a look at the sacred Divine Mother, the wisdom in sacred motherhood. We had this conversation 2 weeks ago, but we did not complete it, and that's fine. Whoever said that you'd be able to complete such an important topic in one session? I want us to think about how the Divine Mother has operated within the traditions of ancient Africa. I want for us to think about that for a moment. And you know that in our last conversation, we actually talked about the origins of Mother's Day. One of the reasons why I've been led to talk about this in this period of the year is because Mother's Day occurs. And we know that this is the one day of the year that virtually everyone in the United States is thinking about that woman that gave them birth. And while I could sit here, and critique Mother's Day, certainly I could, we should recognize that anytime that anyone wants to give thanks to that divine woman that gave them the ability to draw breath is a celebration that is worthwhile. Whether we want to complain about the fact that it has been removed from its African origins, or whether we want to also acknowledge the fact that it has become commercialized, the reality is that it in and of itself is a celebration that we should see as valid and redeemable. And so we talked about its origins, and I talked to you about this Tomhu woman, this European woman, Anna Marie Jarvis, who actually sought to create the day and then tried to dispense with it, tried to end it, because she was concerned about the commercialism of it. This is in the 1940s. Can you imagine that the same person that sought to create it actually sought to discard it just a few years later? There should be more that we do to make sure that it is a redeemable celebration. And I think we also spoke, boy, I'm playing this on the online version. This is on the online version of PowerPoint. It doesn't work as well as the one that's on that actually plays from the laptop. So this slide is all muddled. Look at this. But I want you to recognize that what we also should be talking about is the fact that the images of the Divine Mother are the most ancient images of the Divine Feminine, which comprise the most ancient images of the divine. And you will notice that these old statues, some of them dating to over 25,000 years ago, always have the portions of the sacred feminine body, a large feminine body, possibly of a woman who is pregnant or has recently given birth, with large pendulous breast because she had suckled and given nurturing to all of humanity. These images rarely have, in fact, I don't think they ever have, defined faces. I remember hearing once that some people thought that the reason why it looked like that is that we actually would actually believe that they're not trying to depict a mother, they're trying to depict the mother, the concept of divine femininity. And so that's why you don't see faces. Obviously, you can see that the one on the left, the Venus, which is usually called the Venus of Willendorf, you can see that that one actually also has cornrows. So we're talking about the African mother. And I believe that when we think of divine motherhood, We're talking about those African women that gave birth to all of humanity. This is an important analysis for us to understand. We also talked a bit about the celebrations of motherhood in ancient Kemet, and they almost always occurred on the vernal equinox. What is the vernal equinox? The vernal equinox is when spring, the season, becomes a celestial reality. A celestial reality, when we have equal day and night, that leads to that period of the year that we call spring. And it was during this time that there were celebrations of Mother Ast, the Divine Mother. These are the first celebrations. Imagine occurring in spring would mean that they would be occurring around the same time that Mother's Day in the West occurs. Can't you see that so much of what we are familiar with in the West is nothing more than an echo of the ancient African traditions? And these celebrations were first to the Divine Mother As, the wife of Asar, the mother of Heru. So, as we look at these, I want us to recognize, man, all of these slides are muddled. Ugh. I want us to recognize that what we are actually seeing is how the Divine Mother is that character. I'm going to just take them down because you can't read them. Let me take them down. And then what we'll do is I'll just talk to you about it a little bit. And hopefully you'll be able to understand it on a better level. And I'm seeing, Sen Jason is saying When God Was a Woman by Merlin Stone is an excellent book to read. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. There are so many books that are important to our understanding of the divine feminine. And it's interesting to see that there are books that even describe how the concept of the divine feminine was co-opted in many ways by the Christian tradition. You'll even see Isis in the Ancient World is a really good book that describes how this occurs. The Black Madonna by Ian Begg is another really, really good book. If you look at these, you will understand that in our tradition, we recognize that in order to generate, you had to have both male and female energy. But let's be clear, in the African traditions, it is usually the feminine energy that is primary. And those two energies combine to create. That is what the traditions of Africa brought into existence. This is of primary importance, I would argue. Primary importance. And so one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to you a little bit about sacred motherhood, but I wanted to talk about the other mother who is involved in the story of Asta, Sar, and Heru, the mother that we don't talk about as much. And I really hope that you'll get some benefit from it. Who am I referring to? I'm talking about that mother known as Nebethet. Nebethet. You might have noticed, or as I sometimes vocalize her in ceremony, Nebethet. Nebethet. In talking about her, I'm hoping that we recognize that these two ladies, sometimes known in ancient Kemet as the Meri, myrrh is the word for love in ancient Kemet, myrrh. And so when you have these two ladies who are doubly beloved, they were sometimes called the Meri. By the way, I'm going to tell you, when I say that publicly, there are always practitioners of the Abrahamic traditions that say that that doesn't exist. And then I show them the sources and they get quiet. And then a few weeks later, they say it didn't exist again. It really is concerning that that occurs. It really is concerning. There was a whole argument last year about whether Ast was actually considered the sacred virgin. And we had all these arguments, and then I show the sources, and then they just get quiet and they say the same thing again. The reality is I could speak from my belief as well, but in those gatherings, I was speaking as a historian. It is helpful when you are trying to recreate a faith tradition. Faith tradition is not how I'd like to even describe it. When you're trying to recreate the spiritual traditions of ancestors who have been maligned, sometimes what you have to do is you have to figure out, well, what are you? What are you actually recreating? So the history is important as well. But I want you to know that it is the archetypes of these great ladies that then go off into the rest of the world that we're now more familiar with. And that is quite unfortunate that we are more familiar with these I'm trying to be polite, but maybe I should not be, these copies of the African tradition. So who is Nebethet? Remember that when we see a Sar on the judgment scene, and he is sitting on his throne, having been resurrected and having been the entity that now allows the rest of us access to the afterlife. We see behind him, giving him energy and power, being his divine complement, Ast and Nebethet, his divine sisters. Nebethet is the one that we don't speak about as much. So a little bit about her here. First of all, you should know that when the Greeks got to Kemet, they started calling her Nephthys. So if you want to learn more about her, you're going to have to, unfortunately, still look for Nephthys, spelled Nephthys. Nephthys is what she's generally called in the West today. And she was a member of what the Greeks called the Ennead. You may have heard of the Ennead. Ennead means 8. So these were the first divine 8 complements that came out of the divine source to create the world. Now, we did not use the word Ennead. That is a Greek word. We use the term Pesejet. Pesejet. You could spell Pesejet in English, P-E-S-E-D-J-E-T. Why am I spelling everything? Because you can't see my darn slides. Let's see if I can try this one more time. Maybe if I just do this alteration, this might work. Because I want you to be able to do your own research as well. Ankan Ma'at, Shemsu Ma'at, 23. Yes, Ovalafi is one of our full members and bigging up his initiatory group. We know that that's how that works. That so many people have these really important relationships with the people they were initiated with. It's amazing that that it continues in that manner, and I'm so pleased that those groups support each other. So here's the slide. I've taken a few, at least the words off, so you can see it a little better, and I'm hoping that this will help you be able to do your research. Understand that the Pesejet of Atum. Atum was the highest divine deity in the city known as Heliopolis. And so she's part of the Pesejet of Atum in a city that today, or the Greeks called Heliopolis, that we called Iunu. And you should know that her name means the lady of the house. Please understand, and this I think is wonderful, her headdress is that rectangular piece, as you can see, with a bowl on her head. And the rectangular piece actually has a smaller rectangle in the lower left-hand corner. That rectangle, that large rectangle with the small rectangle, is the glyph for a space, a house, a place. And the bowl is the glyph for lady or lord. So her headdress is actually her name. She is the lady of the house. And that is beautiful to me. She's the sister of Ast and the wife of Setesh. To be clear, Setesh is actually, or Set is actually the brother of these 3 characters, Asar, Ast, and Nebethet. And he is the one that killed Asar in order to take the throne. But think about how wonderfully the story of Nebethet and Ast is a meditation on the importance of sisterhood. When Asar was killed, Nebethet could have stayed behind and been the most powerful queen in all the land, been lavished with the most expensive, the most opulent items in the entire world. But instead of remaining with Set, she goes off with her sister to assist in the resurrection of Asar. Her connection to her sister is more important than her connection to her husband, who has done something that we can only call Isfet. This is important in us understanding the archetypes and the greater stories, narratives that we can take away and use in our lives. This is important. She is considered another protector of Asar. In fact, she is usually at his head while Ast is at his feet. When you see the image of the burial bed, you'll see Asar laid down, and you'll see Nebethet at one end and Ast at the other. Sometimes when you even look at Neb-Ankhs, when you look at coffins, or how the Greeks called sarcophagi, I don't really like that term, but we won't get distracted by it today. You'll even see an image of Ast at the feet and an image of Nebethet at the head. This is part of the great myth that these two ladies assisted in the tending to the body of Asar and the resurrection of Asar. She is also considered the nursing mother of Heru. In fact, in the earliest spiritual text known as the pyramid text today, you usually hear me say the Merkutu text. It is said that Heru climbs on the knees of Nebethet for nursing. And so she is the nursing mother of Heru. Sometimes she's even depicted in great myth as the mother of Anpu, but sometimes he's depicted as the son of Bast or even Ast. She is the mother of fiery reckoning. It says in the Merkutu text that she incinerates the enemies of the king, the Nesut Beat. Incinerates the enemies. Imagine the Hesi that calls an Nebethet to dispense with all of those negative energies that could set you aside. Imagine a Hesi to Nebethet as the warrior, the lady who incinerates the enemies. That is powerful. The kind of Hesi that you should not trifle with unless you are becoming a master practitioner. She's also the protector of Hapi in the Mesu Heru, but you should know that, right? When we do the opening of the way, we say a Netrach Nebethet, Nuk Nebethet. A Netrach Nebethet means show me your face Nebethet, means make your energy available to me is what that means. And then we say Nuk Nebethet, which means I am Nebethet. And then we say a Netrach Hapi. And Hapi is the baboon, as you know. Hapi is the symbol of the baboon. And that baboon is the protector of the lungs. So you should also see Nebethet as a protector of your lungs. Hesi to Nebethet should allow you to draw effective breath. She's also listed as the protector of the Bennu bird, known as the phoenix. I'm not sure if you know that. If you're reading your text, you'll see that she is known as the protector of the Bennu. She's also known by several other names. She's Nebethet of the bed of life. That's a reference to her being at the head of the bed that Asar lays on before his resurrection. She's even called the queen of the embalmers. In fact, you should see her as the one that assists those who prepare the body for the afterlife. She was connected to many festive ceremonies, one for beer. For beer. Did you know that? It is said in the Merkutu text that she removes the king's hangover. It's Nebethet that removes the king's hangover. I think that's interesting as well. I would love to know why they have rendered her that way. That I can't tell you, but I think that is very interesting. She is called the Queen of Darkness that allows one to see. And she is sometimes depicted with her sister As as a kite bird or a falcon. She is also a mistress of divine fertility. And as I said to you earlier, she is known as one of the Meri. This is very important. Let me read to you a passage from the Merkutu text that you might find interesting. And then we're going to shift. I'm going to ask you perhaps what you would do for your Nebethet altar, because you know, as a practitioner, getting up in your altar is one of the best ways for you to evoke particular energies. And so I would suggest that as you are seeking to draw the divine energy, use the divine energy of Nebethet, that you should actually do altar work to Nebethet as well. It's one of the ways that you can evoke that energy. And so what would an Nebethet altar look like? Let's talk about that in a moment. Let me see, trying to move this out of the way because the online version of PowerPoint doesn't work as well as the desktop version. What I'd like to do is have another conversation. Let's see. That now includes a discussion of, oh boy, a discussion of, why am I not able to go up here? Oh, you drive me crazy. Here we go. I think you'll be able to see this at least. Here goes what has been written about her in some of the oldest texts. This all comes from the Merkutu text, which I think might be helpful. The Merkutu text, you should know, is considered the oldest of the spiritual text in the entire world. I'm seeing some more folks come in. Anken Ma'at to Jess Blow came back from Egypt a few months ago, and she was in more gift shots than Isis. Yes, for some reason, the statue from the tomb of Tutankhamen, sometimes shortened as King Tut, actually has her image rather than us, which is interesting. You'll often see replicas of hers or of Serket's, the one that has the scorpion on her head, but much more infrequently will you see us. I don't really know why, but that is the reality. And we say Anken Ma'at to Hemnetter Jamar. Anken Ma'at to you. I hope that you're doing well out there and holding down Strong Island. Anken Ma'at to you. Two Row says, is the Kemetic faith accepting of LGBTQ? I'm queer, so I wanted to ask. Let me say to you that the Kemetic tradition is one where you are a divine force seeking divine balance. I think that those people who use spirituality to say that some people are not accepted somewhere, some people are not the sacred of the divine, are using their spiritual system, whatever it is, in the most incorrect way. You are meant to be a vessel of Ma'at. And so if you are LGBTQ, if that is who you have been created as, practice the tradition and ignore anyone that says anything to you other than that. I used to have many thoughts about members of the LGBT community before I started speaking to friends who had come out the closet. That's what happened to me when I was in college. I started speaking to people who were actually members of the community, and they expressed to me that that's who they've always been. Nothing created them as a member of the LGBTQ community. Who am I to critique you for that? Live your life according to Ma'at. Live your life doing right by those around you and practice the tradition that speaks to you. That would be my answer. Don't let anyone tell you that simply because of something that you had no control over, by the way, this means that you're not going to Aru or to heaven. That is not the use of any spiritual tradition. Some of the people that are most critical of others are the ones that are doing Isfet, like Isfet is going out of business. So you really do need to be part of the tradition that speaks to you. And if you were a member of the Shrine of Ma'at, we would welcome you. Let's say that. I want to be really clear about that. Okay, I'm going to show you this slide. And hopefully you'll be able to read a little bit more now. I hope so. Okay, here are some sections on Nebethet from the Merkutu text. In Utterance 216, line 150, you hear this. It says, I have come to you, Nebethet. I have come to the evening barge. I have come to you. She is over the red. I don't know what over the red means. We need to do more research on that. I have come to you, she who remembers the cause. Remember him, Unas. Here we are hearing that Nebethet is the one that remembers the cause. When you enter into the afterlife, Nebethet is the one that remembers who you are. That is a powerful role, powerful role. In Utterance 219 on line 174, it says, Nebethet, this is your brother here, Asar, who you may have preserved alive. Now, can you see here that she is being said to be one of the people that preserved him alive? This is why she's considered the queen of the embalmers. That comes directly from the text. Whom you have preserved alive. He lives, he lives. This Unas lives. He is not dead. This Unas is not dead. He has not gone down. This Unas has not gone down. He has not been judged. This Unas has not been judged. He judges. This Unas judges. You might say the words are a little unusual. I don't often understand what's happening. Please understand that the Merkutu text are a description of ceremony. So they don't have, in many ways, full narrative form. They're simply telling you about the role of the priest and priestesses in the ceremony. So this particular translation comes from Unas, from the Merkutu, the pyramid of Unas. And so that is why you're seeing the name Unas written here. But it tells us more about the ancient conception of Nebethet. Here's more on Utterance 222 and line 203. He comes down to meet his adversary and stands up, the greatest chief in his great kingdom. Nebethet praises him after he had captured his opponent. She is the one that celebrates victory over our enemies. And then we see in also in Utterance 222, line 210, you go up, you go down, you go up with Nebethet, darkened in the evening barge. You go up, you go down, you go up with Ast, you rise in the morning barge. So can you see here that Nebethet is the one that guides you into the evening? We're talking about the resurrection following the path of the sun. So in this description, you go into darkness and come out in to be a resurrected soul. So in this instance, Nebethet is the one that protects you as you go out down into darkness, and As protects you as you rise into the morning. This is one of the ways that you can see the rendering of Ast. I hope that you are reading your text so you have a better understanding of the traditions. I truly hope that that is what you take away from this. And let me say to you here, what I'd love for you to do is I'd love for you to recognize that as we talk about this, you should be getting up into your altars. How are you going to access the Nebethet energy? Do it in your altar. What things might you put on your altar if you were doing an altar to Nebethet? So you can access that energy. And you might say, well, why would you want to access that energy? Have you ever felt that the world is against you? Would you not want the divine force that incinerates your enemies? That's some heavy power right there. That is some heavy power right there. I'm going to call on Nebethet to incinerate my enemies. You better know what you're doing before you start using that. What a powerful divine energy. But I would suggest to you that as you make your altar, some of the things you might want on your altar are, before I suggest, what would you say? Type in and tell me what you think Nebethet should have on her altar, an altar that you are using to try to evoke the energy. What would you put on that altar? Come on now, I want to hear what you think. A little bit of the segment side. Yeah, I think that we're more familiar with how do you spell the name of the book you're referencing? Good question. You're going to have to look for pyramid texts. And I am saying Merkutu. I'm going to put that in there too. Merkut is one of the ancient words for pyramid. So you'll hear me say the Merkutu text. But honestly, when you look for it, you're going to have to unfortunately look for you're going to have to look for pyramid. And pyramid is not the ancient Kemetic word. The term pyramid was created because when the Greeks saw those amazing structures, they thought that they looked similar to the little rice cakes they put on the fire that they called pyramids. So that's the reason why I prefer to say Merkutu or Mer. You can say Mer. Mer is also one of the words that we see written in the Kemetic language for pyramid as well. Okay, but you're gonna have to look for pyramid text. I'm seeing that someone will put red wine, water, and fresh flowers. Ooh, these are good descriptions. Water and fresh flowers. Why water? Why fresh flowers? What kind of fresh flowers would you put on that altar? By the way, you can't go wrong with fresh flowers on your altar because remember, you're trying to actually have the element of life. And I want to know what you're thinking about with water. I also see red wine. Why red wine? Is that because she is the one that takes away the hangover? An image of her on the altar, correct, wonderful. You can't go wrong with that. How about the lotus flower, clean earth, and sage incense? Almost all of that is for any altar. But what would you put specifically on the altar to Nebethet? Manifesto says red wine. I like red wine. I love water and fresh flowers, but I want to know what your thinking is around water and fresh flowers. And I see Jess Blow says he'd also like to get some Kemetic sand for the altar. Yes, I usually bring back some of it as well. I actually do. Melanated Wisdom says a small house. Ooh, I like that. In fact, sometimes what I do is I get a piece of clay and I'll just create the image of the headdress and that'll be on my altar too. And the reason why I do that is because I created it, right? So when you actually are creating something with the energy in mind, it's imbued with a higher, I think, resonance, a higher vibratory quality. And so I like to do that too. I like to use things that I have actually created. Beer and a lighted candle. Ooh, beer is a good idea too. And having the element of fire because she incinerates. Excellent, excellent, excellent. What else do we have here? Are there particular colors that you would use? You have a globe with water and embalmed iris. It's for her and her child. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that would be a good one. Yeah. Image of Jehuti the baboon. You could do that. An image of her symbol headdress. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Water because of purification and renewal. Fresh flowers because of the created force. Nyanyale Robert, that is pretty dope. That's Nefer. I would put that on there too as well. But those things you're describing, I'd put on almost any altar, which means it'd be good on her altar as well. She is the creative force that allows resurrection. And so I would do that too. Yes. Yes. And when you say purification and renewal, you are right on because remember, she is the one that purifies Asar so that he can be resurrected. The color gold and yellow, reds and browns. Who's melanated wisdom? Who's melanated wisdom? Do I know melanated wisdom by another name? That's an excellent answer, by the way. I always use gold and yellow and even red. Not as much brown, but you could use brown. I would use all those colors on that altar. Those are good. The reason why I'm asking who you are is because Shanette Shanika, I should not be surprised. I forgot that was your other name, by the way. That's a full member of the shrine. That is actually an answer by a person who tends an altar. That's why I want to know who it was. For you to answer that way, you're an altar worker. So, yeah. Red and black. Would you put red and black? I would definitely put red. And why black? Can you see where Peya Israel is going with the black? Now, you might think red and black is for Set, and it is for Set. But keep in mind, there are two different ways you could use the red and black for Nebethet as well. Not only is she the wife of Set, but use the red because she's the incinerator and the black because she's the lady that allows you to see in darkness. I think Peya Israel, I would use red and black too. That's a good answer. I've never put black on that altar. I would. That's a good answer. Maybe bird statues or images, being that she is symbolized by the kite. Does anyone know what the kite bird looks like? I'm going to tell you, I've had to search for kite bird because, I'm a New York City guy. So I don't exactly, if it ain't a pigeon, I struggle at identifying it. That's embarrassing, but real. And I think that we need to become more familiar with the animals around us. So you should also search for what the kite bird looks like. I have done that on many occasions because I realized I didn't know what the kite looks like. By the way, the kite bird has an interesting song as well. So know that that's also something that you should consider, that you're looking for this bird that actually has a beautiful song. By the way, I'm going to tell you, the kite bird has some scary eyes. It tends to have these red eyes, red and black eyes. It's a scary bird, depending on how you look at it. Sometimes it's just beautiful, but I'm trying to look for one with those red eyes looking at you. Take a look at this. This is maybe I can share this on the tab. This is actually an image of what they sometimes call the Mississippi kite. So this is a kite that actually is here in the United States. Look at that image of this bird with the black and red eyes. If those eyes look at you, you are seen. I think it's quite dramatic. Let's say it that way. Quite dramatic. So I want to say to you that, does the kite bird have another name? I'm not aware of another name for the kite. I'm not aware. Whenever I hear other words, it's usually attached to the term kite. The kite is a bird of prey, by the way. It's a dangerous bird. I mean, it is a hunter, similar to a falcon, right? Often Ast and Nebethet are depicted as kites. By the way, I always thought this was interesting. Here's a kite of a kite bird. I always thought this was cool just because I can be corny sometimes. So take a look. You'll see a kite of the kite bird. Look at that. Do you see the kite? Someone made a kite bird kite. A kite that you would actually fly in the sky. I think that's kind of cool because I'm a nerd. But just know that I think that's pretty cool too. Mir Akchu text. No, I spelled it earlier. I usually say Merkutu. Merkut is a pyramid, one of the words for pyramid. And when I say Merkutu, I'm trying to give you the plural sound, right? But know that is one of the terms. You can even just use the word mer for pyramid as well, MR or MER if you like. Similar to the word for love, which is also mer. Just like in the English language, sometimes words have similar sounds but different meanings. And so that's also part of it too. Orange as the raw day. Hard to articulate your reasons right now, but above the red is my reason, not a direct chakra reference. Got it. Okay. Got it. Let me see. Would you make them of an air element, messages and communication. You know what I like to do? I like to sometimes, when I am preparing something when I'm trying to do the work with the energy, sometimes what I'll do is I'll write it on paper, sometimes even papyrus. Know that papyrus is hard to burn, but I will try to burn it on the altar. And that will sometimes help me get around whatever I'm working with. Whatever challenge I have, I try to send it up. And so that's what I do. And of course, as she is the one that incinerates, write down those things that you're struggling with and ask for Nebethet or Nebethet to assist you in moving forward. With that, I want to say to you, don't just make this be a conversation. Practitioners, practice. Get up in your altar and utilize this powerful divine energy to do the work that you have been divinely ordained to do. With that, I want to say the divine force in me reads the divine force in you. And I'd like to end with giving you, once again, another affirmation. And we usually use one of two affirmations. Today, let us use the Rupu affirmation. It is Rupu Nuku Amiku Kemam Keperu. And it means, I am that I am, a shining being of light, dwelling in the limbs of the Most High. Tuan Ter. Thank you to the divine. With that, I'm hoping that you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Please get up in your altars. And if you're going to make your Nebethet altar, send us a picture so we can share it with the rest of our community. With that, I hope all is well. We will see you soon. Shem and Ma'at, go forth in divine balance. Peace.